We are joined now by Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio. I don't know if you have seen the clip of Eric Swalwell going crazy talking about all the Trump kitten and duck memes. They are hysterical. For those of you out there that are not active on social media, many people have decided to have fun with the kitten and duck allegations coming out of Springfield, Ohio, with outrageous, outlandish, and frankly hysterical memes of Donald Trump saving kittens and ducks. Eric Swalwell is very angry. But what in the world is actually going on? Congressman, you represent this area just beside it, where all of this chaos has been unfurling associated with immigrants overloading, I believe it's Springfield, Ohio. What is actually going on? What are you seeing in the community? What can you tell us about the impact of, in many ways, unrestrained immigration in your congressional district and nearby areas?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's really an honor to join you all. And look, I too have enjoyed some of the humor that's been out there. And in particular, as J.D. Vance is now has childless cat ladies are part of the J.D. Vance fan club again. So we're
No
back
doubt.
on track with the team that's going to save the kittens. But the reality is, on the ground, Springfield's a great community of about 60,000 people, longtime manufacturing community, a lot like what Ohio has experienced with, quote, the Rust Belt for a time. You had great factory jobs for a long time. And as the economy changed, a lot of things got hollowed out and communities had to change. Springfield's done a great job of attracting investment. They're growing nicely. And for a long time, they've had all of Western Ohio's had the challenge. We could grow faster if we could just get a strong workforce. And, as you look at the immigrant population that wants to work, they're attracted to places that have jobs. And, Springfield has that. Most of Western Ohio has that. And so you can see why, people that are coming here, if they want to work, they would come someplace like Springfield, Ohio. The challenge has been the Biden administration has had just an open border process that's flooded our country with lots of people who are illegals. They've abused the refugee process. And the challenge in Springfield isn't just that the initial refugee comes, it's that each person can bring through chain migration like 6 family members. And so that has a, be fruitful and multiply kind of effect at a rapid pace. I mean, if a family is fruitful and multiplies, it takes a generation to raise the kids. When you bring in somebody into the country, even if they have the most credible claim to refugee status that you could imagine, if you can bring 6 times as many more people in right away, it's easy to see how one community gets overwhelmed. And that's what's going on the ground in Springfield. If you brought 20,000 people from California, it would overwhelm a community of 60,000 people, and the culture in California is a little different. Safe to say the culture in Haiti is a whole lot different than the culture in Springfield, Ohio.
So when you see these stories, Congressman, and people are concerned about this, it sounds like there is an understandable friction that can happen with such a massive change in the area, or rather that this is what people could expect. Are you seeing that there's any help coming from either the state or the federal government to assist with some of this? I mean, you're talking about things like overcrowding in hospitals and schools and things like that. It sounds like the community is just left to bear the burden.
Yeah, that's the real problem. Look, the federal government clearly isn't being helpful. They're causing the problem to be worse, frankly, and very unsympathetic. They're not responsive even when local law enforcement wants to raise issues for the people that are illegal. Even in those cases, the federal government's not responsive. But the challenge has been the state hasn't been incredibly helpful either. There are a lot of resources. Look, some of this is driven by federal policy where every refugee is getting $600 to $1,600 in cash assistance for the Refugee Cash Assistance Program, and they're automatically eligible for every means-tested program that America has. So you've got individual refugees who are newly arrived, let's say straight from Haiti, and they're getting more federal benefit than you've got people that worked a lifetime and put money into Social Security and Medicare. So they're eligible for every kind of program that you could imagine. And there are flaws at the federal level, but there are things at the state level that schools are being told they need to admit, Haitians that appear to be 20 years old as freshmen in high school. And, that's causing problems. You've got a massive influx of people that can't speak English, and so no resources for translators. It's safe to say we don't have a lot of local, native speakers for Haiti in Western Ohio. And so we need resources from the federal and state government to be able to do some of those things. And, look, I used to represent that district under the new redistricting. That's a different members of Congress. But I think the whole delegation is united in saying, look, we recognize that there are legitimate refugees in other places around the world. We want to be a welcoming place for people that come legally. But really what you're seeing is the limits of even legal immigration, where you are very sympathetic, are being tested here. And a big part of it is the chain migration problem.
We're talking to Congressman Warren Davidson. The New York Times, among others, has said that everything being said about Springfield, Ohio is basically made up. We played yesterday many of the viral clips from the town city council meeting of people laying out what they are saying. For people out there who read the New York Times, Congressman, and say, oh, this is all a made-up story, I believe a young kid was killed by a Haitian immigrant on his way to the day of school. That occurred. It's happening in districts all over the place. But what would you say to the New York Timeses of the world that have decided to parachute in on this story and say this isn't true?
Yeah, I mean, they're not trustworthy sources. The controlled media continues to cover for the Biden administration on every front. I mean, they've continually lied. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, and they keep lying. And this is just another instance where they're whatever they need to say to cover for the Biden-Harris administration, they're going to say. The reality is, come on out under the ground and talk to people, and you'll find people in the community that are fed up and don't want anybody to come, whether they're legal or not. But you'll also find people that are like, yeah, I'm sympathetic. I understand how bad of a place Haiti is right now. We want to welcome them, but let's not pretend we're not being overwhelmed here. We've got issues to deal with, and to say that all of these things are false, that itself is clearly false. And so it's not rising to this attention because it's some manufactured story. The reality is this is what people in the community are dealing with.
Congressman, appreciate you being with us. Thanks so much for making the time.
Yeah, thank you guys for highlighting it.
We come back, we'll take some of your calls, 800-282-2882, roll you into the final 15 minutes of this show before the debate. Undoubtedly, we'll spend tomorrow reacting to all of the big takeaways from the debate. But soon, we are going to be going up to New York. I'm going to be playing in the Charity Golf Challenge for Tunnel to Towers. We are planning on being at the gala event to raise money for Tunnel to Towers as part of what we're doing with Crockett, buying a table and trying to support them with the profits that we're making on our company. And tomorrow, as many of you know, is a very somber day in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Somerset County, Pennsylvania, because it is the anniversary of September 11th. And Tunnel to Towers has been doing everything they can to honor the lives of those men and women we lost on that tragic day 23 years ago now. They've provided surviving families with mortgage-free homes wherever possible. They're teaching kids in schools about the unfortunate events of 9/11 so every generation can learn about the heroism and patriotism of so many first responders. And Tunnel to Towers 9/11 curriculum units have scripted lessons, background for teachers, activities for students based on first-person accounts and designed to meet many academic standards. 9/11 Institute offers the Discovering Heroes book series for distributions in schools. Also, a mobile exhibit with 9/11 artifacts. I know it's crazy, as it is for many of you and for us as well, to think that it has been 23 years since that tragic day in our nation's history. We have to make sure that we keep our nation's promise to never forget. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.